What happens when two of the most talked about women in the world sit face to face on live television, with cameras rolling and millions watching, and one of them decides to drop the royal facade completely? What you're about to witness is perhaps the most shocking moment in daytime television history, a moment that left viewers speechless and changed everything we thought we knew about the royal family dynamics. Before we dive into this incredible story, make sure to hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments what you think really happened here, because trust me, you're going to have opinions. The studio lights were blazing hot as the familiar music of the view-filled Studio 23B. Whoopi Goldberg adjusted her glasses and looked directly into camera 2 with that signature expression that meant business. The audience was buzzing with an energy that felt different today, electric, almost dangerous. Ladies and gentlemen, Whoopi's voice cut through the chatter like a knife. We have a very special show for you today. We're joined by two women who need absolutely no introduction, but I'm going to give them one anyway because that's what we do here. She paused, letting the tension build. Please welcome the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle. The applause was polite but measured as Meghan walked onto the set, her smile practiced and camera ready. She wore a navy blue dress that cost more than most people's monthly rent, her hair perfectly styled, every step calculated for maximum impact. She waved to the audience with that hand gesture she'd perfected, the one that said, "I'm approachable but still royal," and Whoopi continued, her voice rising slightly. "The Princess of Wales, Catherine." The audience reaction was noticeably different, louder, warmer, more genuine. Kate emerged from the wings, wearing a stunning emerald green ensemble that seemed to catch every light in the studio. Her smile was different from Meghan's, less rehearsed, more natural. She moved with the confidence of someone who'd been born into this world, not someone who'd married into it. As both women took their seats on the iconic curved couch, the camera captured something that would be analyzed frame by frame for weeks to come. The way they looked at each other, or rather, the way they deliberately avoided looking at each other. The air between them was thick with unspoken tension. So, Whoopi began settling into her chair. Let's address the elephant in the room. The last time you two were photographed together was at the late Queen's funeral. How are things between you? Meghan spoke first, her voice smooth and media-trained. Whoopi, I think it's important to focus on the positive. We're both mothers, we're both trying to make a difference in the world, and we're both here today because we believe in the power of women supporting women. The camera caught Kate's reaction, or lack thereof. Her expression remained perfectly neutral, but there was something in her eyes, a flicker of something that seasoned viewers of royal watching would recognize as barely contained amusement. "That's lovely," Kate said, her English accent cutting through the American studio like crystal, "but I think our viewers deserve honesty, don't you, Meghan? After all, you've built your entire brand on telling your truth." The studio fell silent. Even the camera operators seemed to hold their breath. Meghan's smile faltered for just a fraction of a second, but it was enough. Kate had drawn first blood. "I'm sorry, Meghan," said her voice, taking on that tone she'd perfected during her Oprah interview, the one that suggested she was the victim before she'd even explained what happened. "I'm not sure what you're implying, Catherine." Kate's eyebrows rose slightly. "How formal. I thought we were family." Joy Behar leaned forward in her chair. "Okay, I can feel the tension here, and I love it. Let's talk about family. Meghan, you've been very open about feeling unwelcome in the royal family. Kate, what's your response to that?" Kate turned to face Meghan directly for the first time since sitting down. "I think," she said slowly, her voice carrying the weight of 1,000 palace briefings, "that being welcomed into any family requires a certain amount of effort from both sides. You have to want to be part of the family, not just benefit from the family name." The audience gasped. Meghan's composure cracked visibly. "I'm sorry, are you suggesting that I didn't try? That I didn't want to be part of the family?" "I'm not suggesting anything," Kate replied, her voice remaining perfectly calm. "I'm stating a fact. You were given every opportunity, every resource, every support system that I was given, and more. The difference is, I didn't run to American television the moment things got difficult." Sunny Hostin jumped in. "Kate, that seems a bit harsh. Meghan has spoken about the mental health struggles she faced, the lack of support she received." Kate's laugh was soft but deadly. Mental health is incredibly important, Sonny. I've dedicated much of my royal work to mental health awareness. But what I find interesting is that when I was struggling with the pressures of royal life, when I was being criticized in the press daily, when I was learning to navigate this complex world, I sought help privately. I worked with the family, with the institution, to find solutions. I didn't turn personal family matters into a public spectacle. Because you had support, Meghan shot back, her voice rising slightly. You had a husband who understood the system, who protected you. You had a family who welcomed you with open arms. Did I? Kate's question hung in the air like a challenge. Did I really, Meghan? Or did I just handle things differently? The camera zoomed in on Meghan's face, catching the moment when she realized she'd walked into a trap. Kate continued, her voice never losing its elegant composure. You see, when I married William, I was also an outsider. I was also criticized, also struggled, also had to learn the rules of a very complicated game. The difference is, I never expected the game to change for me. I changed for the game. Whoopi tried to regain control of the conversation. Kate, are you saying that Meghan should have just accepted whatever treatment she received? I'm saying, Kate replied, turning to face the host, that marriage, any marriage, requires compromise. When you marry into the royal family, you're not just marrying a person. You're marrying an institution that's existed for over 1,000 years. The institution doesn't change overnight because one person finds it inconvenient. Meghan's voice cracked slightly. You're calling racism inconvenient. The studio went deadly quiet. This was the moment everyone had been waiting for. The moment when the gloves would come off completely. Kate's response would be remembered and dissected for years to come. Kate turned to face Meghan with the kind of smile that could freeze fire. I'm calling it many things, Meghan, but I'm curious, who exactly do you think was racist toward you? The question hung in the air like a sword waiting to fall. Meghan's eyes darted around the studio, looking for an escape route that didn't exist. The cameras were rolling, the audience was silent, and Kate Middleton was staring at her with the patience of someone who had all day to wait for an answer. I think, Meghan began, her voice smaller now, that the institution itself has problems with unconscious bias. The institution, Kate repeated slowly, savoring each word. How wonderfully vague. But that's not what you said in your interview, was it? You spoke about conversations, about concerns, about specific people, having specific thoughts about your children's skin color. Meghan shifted uncomfortably in her seat. I think we should focus on moving forward, rather than relitigating the past. Oh, but I think we absolutely should relitigate the past, Kate said, her voice gaining strength. Because you've spent the last few years making very serious accusations. And now you're sitting here, on live television, with the opportunity to be specific. So I'll ask again, who was racist toward you? Anna Navarro tried to intervene. Kate, I think what Meghan is trying to say is that there were systemic issues rather than individual acts of racism. Kate's gaze never left Meghan's face. Anna, I appreciate your attempt to help, but I think Meghan is perfectly capable of speaking for herself. After all, she's never had trouble finding her voice before. The audience murmured at the subtle dig. Meghan's face flushed slightly, but she tried to maintain her composure. Catherine, I don't think this is the appropriate forum for this conversation. Really? Kate's eyebrows rose in genuine surprise. You thought the Oprah Winfrey Show was the appropriate forum to discuss private family conversations, but the view isn't appropriate for you to substantiate your claims. How interesting. That's different, Meghan protested. How is it different? Kate's voice was like silk wrapped around steel. You made public accusations about my family, about my husband's family, about the institution I've dedicated my life to serving. You damaged relationships, hurt people I care about, and caused enormous pain to a woman who was in her 90s. How is this different? The camera captured every micro-expression on Meghan's face. The realization that she was losing this battle was written across her features like a map of defeat. You're right, Kate continued, her voice softening slightly, but losing none of its power. This is different. This time, you're not sitting across from someone who's going to nod sympathetically while you play the victim. This time, you're sitting across from someone who is actually there. Whoopi leaned forward. Kate, what are you saying exactly? I'm saying, Kate replied, turning to address the host while keeping one eye on Meghan, that there's another side to every story. Meghan has told her version of events, and the world has largely accepted it because she tells it so beautifully, so convincingly. But I was there for most of these alleged incidents. I was there when she claimed she was ignored, when she claimed she was unsupported, when she claimed she was treated poorly. And what did you see? Joy asked, clearly fascinated by the direction this was taking. Kate's smile was devastating in its sweetness. I saw a woman who was given every opportunity to succeed and chose instead to see herself as a victim. I saw someone who was offered help and rejected it because it didn't come in the exact form she wanted. I saw someone who expected to be treated like a star. When she married into a family that values service over celebrity, Meghan finally found her voice. That's not fair, Catherine. You don't know what it was like for me, don't I? Kate's voice was sharp now. I was photographed in a bikini on my honeymoon. I was called everything from boring to gold digger to social climber. I was criticized for my family's business, for my mother's airline job, for the way I dressed, for the way I spoke. The difference is, I didn't expect the world to change for me. I changed for the world I was joining. You're white, Meghan said quietly, playing what she thought was her trump card. The studio held its breath. Kate's response was swift and surgical. You're right, I am white. But let me ask you something, Meghan. When you were climbing the social ladder in Toronto, when you were networking your way through Hollywood parties, when you were dating that chef and posting about him on social media, when you were building your lifestyle brand, were you complaining about being biracial then? Or did that only become an issue when it became convenient for your narrative? The audience gasped. Meghan's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. Kate wasn't finished. You see, what bothers me isn't that you faced challenges. What bothers me is that you've weaponized those challenges against people who tried to help you. You've turned every piece of guidance into an attack, every tradition into racism, every expectation into oppression. That's not true, Meghan whispered, but her voice lacked conviction, isn't it? Kate's voice was relentless now. Let me give you some examples. When you were told that the tiara you wanted for your wedding wasn't available, you claimed it was because they didn't want you to outshine someone. When you were advised about royal protocol, you said you were being controlled. When you were asked to follow the same rules that every other member of the family follows, you called it racism. When you were given the same press coverage that every other new royal receives, you claimed it was a campaign against you. Sarah N. jumped in. Kate, don't you think some of Meghan's experiences were valid? Of course, some of her experiences were valid, Kate replied. Royal life is difficult. The press can be brutal. The expectations are enormous. But here's the thing, Sarah. I experienced all of those same things, and I didn't destroy my family. To cope with them, Kate turned back to Meghan, her voice becoming almost gentle, which somehow made it more devastating. The saddest part of all this, Meghan, is that you had everything. You had a husband who loved you, a family who was willing to embrace you, a platform to make a real difference in the world. You had opportunities that billions of people can only dream of, and you threw it all away because you couldn't handle not being the center of attention. You don't understand, Meghan said, tears now visible in her eyes. You don't understand what it was like to be the only person of color in that family, to feel alone, to feel like no one understood. Kate's expression softened for just a moment. You weren't alone, Meghan. I was there. I tried to help you. I invited you to events. I included you in conversations. I offered you advice when you asked for it. But you didn't want a sister-in-law. You wanted a cheerleader. You wanted someone to tell you that you were right about everything, that everyone else was wrong, that you were the victim in every situation. The studio was completely silent now. Even the camera operators seemed transfixed by what they were witnessing. The truth is, Kate continued, her voice steady and clear, you were never interested in being part of the royal family. You were interested in what the royal family could do for you. And when you realized that it required more giving than taking, you decided to burn it all down. The words hit Meghan like physical blows. She sat there, visibly shaken, her perfect composure finally cracking completely. The woman who had commanded boardrooms and red carpets looked small and vulnerable under the studio lights. It's not. Meghan started, then stopped. I never intended to hurt anyone. But you did hurt people, Kate said, her voice filled with a sadness that was somehow more devastating than anger. You hurt Harry's relationship with his father, with his brother. You hurt the Queen in her final years. You hurt me and William, and our children who have to grow up reading lies about their family on the internet. Whoopi tried to regain control. Kate, don't you think that's a bit harsh? Meghan was clearly struggling. Kate turned to face Whoopi directly. Whoopi, I have enormous sympathy for people who are struggling, but I have no sympathy for people who deal with their struggles by destroying others. There's a difference between asking for help and declaring war. I never declared war, Meghan protested weakly. Didn't you? Kate's voice was incredulous. You gave an interview watched by millions of people where you accused the royal family of racism. You suggested that my husband, the future King of England, was part of conversations about your children's skin color. You implied that I made you cry at your wedding when we both know that's not what happened. If that's not declaring war, what is it? The audience was completely captivated. This was must-see television, the kind of moment that would be replayed and analyzed for years. About the wedding, Joy said, leaning forward. Meghan, you did say that Kate made you cry. Kate, what actually happened? Kate's smile was sad but determined. What happened, Joy, is that Meghan had very specific ideas about how she wanted her wedding to be, and some of those ideas conflicted with royal protocol. When I gently suggested that certain traditions might be important to follow, she became upset. She did cry, but not because I was mean to her. She cried because she was frustrated that she couldn't have everything exactly as she wanted it. That's not how I remember it, Meghan said quietly. Of course it's not, Kate replied. Because you've convinced yourself that everyone was against you. You've rewritten history to make yourself the victim in every situation. But the truth is, I spent hours trying to help you with wedding planning. I offered you my seamstress, my florist, my event planner. I tried to be the sister you said you never had. And you repaid that kindness by telling the world that I made you cry. Anna Navarro jumped in. Kate, can you understand why Meghan might have felt overwhelmed by all the protocols and traditions? Of course I can understand it, Kate said. I was overwhelmed too. Every person who marries into the royal family is overwhelmed. But most of us ask for help privately. Most of us don't assume that centuries of tradition should be thrown out the window to accommodate our personal preferences. Kate turned back to Meghan, her voice becoming more intense. Do you know what the real tragedy is, Meghan? You could have been extraordinary. You had the intelligence, the charm, the platform, the resources. You could have been the person who modernized the monarchy from within, who brought new perspectives while respecting old traditions. Instead, you chose to be the person who tried to tear it all down. Meghan's voice was barely a whisper. I tried to fit in. No, Kate said firmly. You tried to make everyone else fit around you. There's a difference. When I married William, I didn't expect the monarchy to change for me. I changed for the monarchy. I learned the protocols. I studied the history. I understood that I was joining something bigger than myself. You made it look so easy, Meghan said, and for the first time her voice carried genuine pain rather than calculated victimhood. Kate's expression softened slightly. It wasn't easy, Meghan. It was never easy, but it was worth it. The work we do, the people we help, the difference we can make, it's all worth it. But you have to want it more than you want to be right all the time. Sunny Hostin leaned forward. Kate, what would you say to people who think the royal family should have done more to support Meghan? I would say, Kate replied, her voice gaining strength, that the royal family bent over backwards to support Meghan. She was given a wedding that cost millions of pounds. She was given a beautiful home. She was given a staff, a wardrobe allowance, protection officers, media training. She was invited to every family event, included in every tradition, given every opportunity. Kate paused, letting that sink in before continuing. But more than that, she was given something precious that money can't buy. She was given Harry's love, William's respect, and yes, even my friendship. She was welcomed into a family that doesn't welcome outsiders easily. And she threw it all away because she couldn't handle not being the most important person in every room. You make it sound like she was ungrateful, Whoopi said. She was ungrateful, Kate said simply. Not just ungrateful, but destructive. She took a family that had weathered scandals and tragedies and somehow always came through stronger, and she nearly destroyed it. She took a husband who adored his family and turned him against them. She took relationships that had been built over decades and poisoned them with her version of events. The camera captured Meghan's face as tears started to fall. But instead of the sympathetic tears that had worked so well in her previous interviews, these looked different. These looked like the tears of someone who had been exposed. "What I'll never understand," Kate continued, her voice relentless now, "is how you could claim to love Harry while systematically destroying every relationship he held dear. How you could claim to care about the monarchy while spending your time trying to damage it. How you could claim to want to help people while using your platform primarily to help yourself." "I did want to help people," Meghan said through her tears. "Then why didn't you?" Kate's question was simple but devastating. You had 2 years as a working royal, 2 years with unlimited resources, unlimited platform, unlimited opportunity. What did you accomplish besides creating drama and making yourself the story? The silence that followed was deafening. Meghan had no answer because there wasn't one, Kate continued, her voice softer now but no less powerful. "The saddest part of all this is that you're talented, Meghan. You're intelligent and charismatic, and you could have done incredible things. But you were more interested in being celebrated than in celebrating others. You were more interested in being right than in being effective." Kate stood up, smoothing her dress with the kind of grace that couldn't be taught. "I've said what I came here to say. The truth needed to be told, and I'm the only one who could tell it. I won't be doing any more interviews about this topic because I have more important things to do. I have a country to serve, children to raise, and a husband to support." She looked directly into the camera, her voice clear and strong. "To the people watching this, I want you to know that the royal family is stronger than any attempt to tear it down. We will continue to serve, continue to work, and continue to put the needs of others before our own. That's what we do. That's who we are." As Kate walked off the set, the studio erupted in applause. Meghan sat there, alone on the couch, the weight of everything that had just happened settling on her shoulders. The cameras captured it all. The moment when someone who had built her entire brand on being the victim finally met someone who refused to let her play that role. The truth had been told, and it was more devastating than anyone could have imagined. So what do you think really happened between these two? Was Kate justified in her brutal honesty, or did she go too far? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more incredible stories like this one. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next.